I would say no separation at this point. I think that the last couple practices, he's continued to grow and develop because you kind of get past the installation part. We're still learning that part going into the first scrimmage, and that plays a very well because what happens when you just install it is you're really trying to emphasize those concepts on a given day, but you don't really. Two young quarterbacks. And so when you got the whole install that you're dealing with, that can be a little bit, I think it's hard. I really do. And so, but I think as you kind of zero in on what you're going to be actually calling for that individual person, it helps them a lot, So we'll see more of that the next few practices and into Saturday scrimmage. So, but to me, they both have had, you know, things that they've done well and things where they look good and things where they still are growing and learning. So that's expected, So, but I think at the same time, as they just continue to handle the uh, the pressure of having this hanging over them, I think that's also a good thing because that's part of preparing them for the role they're going to be in, which is loaded with pressure and loaded with expectations and loaded with things that you have to handle as being a quarterback at this level. So I think as they go through this process together and learn to lean on each other, they're going to need each other throughout the season, and they're going to lean on each other, on a weekly basis now. And so I want to see that continue. So I think they've both shown that they can do a lot of good things, and they also shown that they got to keep working.
Kind of how would you assess some of those other position battles that were going on, maybe wide receivers and defensive backs or offensive line, defensive line with in a scrimmage setting like that? How would you kind of evaluate how those reps were?
Yeah, I think that if you start up front, I think it's becoming a little more clear on some of those guys, on both sides. Obviously, from an offense perspective, we got a lot of guys that have been here and are playing, and we're kind of going through, and even these last couple practices, mix some guys from tackle to guard and guard to tackle, just to continue to create that depth, because at the end of the day, you're always trying to play your best five. So I do feel like we're seeing the ability to have, Caleb Benson can play guard and tackle. We put Josh Sales can play guard, some reps there. Matt Bedford can play guard and tackle. And so just trying to find the best combination. And with Max in the rotation, Max Longman. So just being able to get those guys. And we've got Mike Katie play at center at times, and Carpenter can play guard. And so just that position flexibility, we're working through that right now, and I think that's important. And defensively, we do have more bigger bodies that we can rotate, and keeping those guys fresh is going to be a priority. So I think you're kind of getting into those 8, 9 guys that you're going to rotate there that we feel good about, and those guys that you saw in the scrimmage, and they just got to continue to develop and keep keeping those guys healthy, number one, and then keep growing that group. But I do think that we as a staff are kind of getting closer into the ones and the twos, who those guys are and who the rotational guys will be, and but the defensive line is one of those you just gonna play a lot of guys. I think that the position demands that, and the way we want to play and how we're going to do things, and we rotate them. So that's pretty consistent there. And every receiver, I think you still got. I thought Omar Cooper's really these last couple practices continues to make more plays. And showing up. EJ is showing up and making plays. D Mac is continuing, and DQ and those guys, and Anderson. So just it's a lot of guys there that we're counting on. Obviously Cam Camper continues. He's obviously a special talent, and continue to build to bring his rep base along and allow him to continue to grow and develop. So, but that, we're going to play a lot of guys at receiver. And Cam Perry's another one too. So all those guys are going to play, and we expect them to play. So I don't know that, we have it all fleshed out of who the starters are. I really don't think of it like that in a lot of ways. It's just who's going to be out there on the field, help us win.
As you've kind of gone through camp, have you, I know you kind of review each phase. Have you changed your plan based on kind of where the team's been at each point? And then kind of a second part of that, has anything surprised you or kind of been unexpected, either player, position group, as you've kind of gone here through the first couple of weeks of camp?
I would say, as far as the first part, sticking pretty much to the plan in regards to where we're at. Big emphasis these next few days on, end of game situations, and true situations, overtime, how you finish out games from hey, we're going to put our guys in this position, or even the coming out part of it and how you manage that. The 4-minute, 2-minute mode, we did that yesterday and going to do that again. And what that creates, and how you teach those parts of the game. So that to me is kind of gone from the scheme emphasis to in that whole installation to now more situational things that are growing in number. And then, to me, one guy that sticks out to me that's been a pleasant surprise is Linnell Carr. He's really shown a really just a very, very instinctual knack for getting to the quarterback, and so I think that's a huge thing that we brought him here for, which is no question. I think he's just been able to, as he's bought into the training, bought into, the disciplines of what we think it takes to be a special player here and in the Big Ten. Just used to seeing him grow in his knowledge of the defense, and you need that, and he and Miles have really sharpened each other in a huge way. I think Anthony Jones is really starting to come on. He's now getting into, several days of playing, the bull and the wolf position, different things we use him for. And so just really have seen a lot of growth from him there, which is good. And I think that Nick Toomer's another one that sticks out to me that has been, just really, really growing and elevating himself these last few practices, So, and then offensively, I just like to continue to see, our guys up front. I just think that our ability to be able to, emphasize running the football and throwing the football effectively and taking some pressure off those. We got two quarterbacks that I know they're young and I know they got things they got to learn. I get all that, but you see signs of them being able to do some really good things, and I like our running back room. I really do. So a guy that jumps out to me is Christian Turner, and he hasn't been out there full bore as much as he will here as he's continued to get healthier. But we know what we got in Jalen and Josh, and I just think having a third, fourth guy in Trent's really can come along as well. So David Holloman missed it a little bit, the last couple of days, but he's back now and has been had his best camp. So just I feel like those are spots that have been what you want them to be. You want guys to elevate, and we got several guys that we feel like can help us be successful.
At kicker, how did you feel like Alejandro and Chris handled the game-like situations in the scrimmage on Saturday? And I know Nico was out, but just where's he at? How's he been stacking up to those guys, and where do you stand with?
Yeah, so he's been slowly brought back this week, so should be fully kicking tomorrow. So get a chance to get a better evaluation on him. We expect him to step up and compete. Did not feel like that we got what we wanted out of that on Saturday. It's an area that definitely is a area of emphasis for us right now. But Nico was expected to be in the competition, and he will be here this week. And so definitely is an emphasis without question. So not to our standard this past weekend, and those guys know that. And so excited to get Nico back in that competition and see how he responds.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron Steinfeld played in the scrimmage. I think he's been off to the side in some practices. I guess what's he been dealing with, and how's he doing health-wise?
Yeah, it's nothing long-term. So he will be back and should be able to scrimmage this weekend. That is the expectation. So he'll practice tomorrow in a limited way, but he's getting himself back. So we need him. He's a guy that's made plays for us and thought he made some really good gains over the spring. Had a really good spring camp for us there, and now into the fall camp. So expect to get him back this week.
Coach, with the quarterback race, it doesn't matter who it ends up being. They're both going to be a young quarterback, as you said, and they're getting thrown to the wolves right off the bat against one of the top teams in the country. What can you do to try to minimize what they're going to go through? Because obviously Ohio State will throw everything at them for that very reason.
Correct. So yeah, it's that's the challenge, right? And so you got to be able to have enough in your arsenal to be able to be effective, but you also have to do a good job of taking some pressure off of them from a decision-making perspective, and being able to allow them to be able to be effective, in a hostile environment. Fortunately, it's at home. That's a huge plus, without question. So, but the intensity of the opponent and the speed and the power that they're going to see and how fast things are going to happen is going to be at a high level. So, that's on us as coaches. We got to do a great job of getting them and putting them in positions to be able to maximize whoever's out there on the field and to be able to play to their strengths and allow them not to have to feel like they have to have the weight of everything, that they got to be, carrying all that themselves. They got to rely on their teammates, and we got to do a great job up front. We got to, run the football very well. We got to be able to throw the football, and take the pressure off so they can't get any strong indicators on what we're going to be doing. So that's our responsibility as coaches, and because you're just trying to put them in the best position to be successful. So, but there's one way to learn, and that is being thrown in there, and that's how they're going to, it's going to be that case. So I'm excited for their opportunity to be able to showcase it. There's no doubt that they'll be tested to the highest level you can think of, this early in the season, but that's how you grow. And so, and I think when you have the right mindset and you got the right plan, our guys are going to have a chance to be able to be successful.
We've asked you kind of about this in different ways, but we're about to talk to him. Matt Guerrieri, Coach Guerrieri, calling plays. I guess how collaborative is that with you in terms of, you talked about in the past, wanting a defensive play caller to have maybe the freedom to put his own stamp on it, but you still want some of the principles and the fundamentals to be what you want out of that defense. So I guess what's the balance for you, both in terms of maybe holding on to some of those principles, and also, as you've talked about, not wanting to be so involved that you're overcommitting yourself there, with just kind of week to week talking through his game plan, maybe not literally actual, play call by play call, but just that process.
Yeah, I think that first it all starts with trust, and me trusting him, to come in here and learn our system, and which he's done, and also just add things to it that we feel make us better, and so, because on game day, I'm not going to tell him what to call. I'm not going to second guess it when it, whatever happens. That's, and you got to know what I've learned. They're going to call what they believe in. They're going to call the things that they have developed trust in themselves to be able to be called. And so I want him to be free to do that. And but I'm very involved with the day to day of watching everything in practice and the scheme and how we're going to do things, how we're going to communicate things. But the calling of itself comes down to him and what he feels is the right call in the right situation based on his film preparation and what he feels is best in that moment. So I'm going to do a great job of supporting that. But yeah, I think it's just getting somebody that is on the same page with you're on and calls things the way that the system is built for. And I think that's the key, is to be able to play to the strength of our system that our kids believe in and we're built for. And so I totally trust him and have enjoyed working with him and feel like we're very aligned in how we do things. And, aggressive mindset, I believe in that, and being able to apply pressure. And it comes in different ways. And disguise is a big piece. And so that's always been that way for us here and the way we do things, So, but it's definitely different for me because that's the area that I am involved in and have called and have a strong opinions about, so, but also want him to be able to be free to make those decisions and not feel like he's not going to get, second guessed on game day. That's not what we're going to sit there and evaluate it, at halftime and then at the end, but together, but at the same time, he's a guy that I definitely am really, really excited that he's here with us and has done a really, really good job with our defense. Awesome. Have a great day, Elliot.